Blessings, everyone. Today, I would like to offer, this is Energy and Spirit Oracle. Originally, I was just going to be very quiet today and in stillness and not do any of the readings or my singing bowls, because today is a very emotional day for me, because it is the birthday of my husband in spirit. This is the 3rd year that he has been transitioned into full spirit, and he would have been 68 today. And so the last 2 years I have made haggis and celebrated and went over the top, and this year it felt very quiet, and I feel his presence very strongly. There's been a lot of emotional things going on a personal level for me. And so sometimes we have to walk our talk, and being in stillness, and when I use this term stillness, that's exactly what it is. It's not silence, and it's not in a state of meditation or anything that we have to step into. And I understand that a lot of people get that confused when they think of I'm being silent, I'm being quiet, because there's still a process, and in stillness is complete without. It just is. And so as I stepped into that space today, Spirit stepped right in and said that it's important that when we go into stillness and to be of service, we have to understand that sometimes emotions open heart space, and that is the best communication. I know there's a lot of teachers and mentors and such that speak about being in a state of joy and such to connect with spirit. But there are many of us that experience the connection with our guides and angels and loved ones on the other side when the heart breaks a little bit, because it breaks open if we surrender to it. And that is something that Spirit has taught me is the key. It's not about being in a state of complete joy or euphoria to connect with our loved ones. It's being authentically where we're at and surrendering to that, understanding that that's where we need to be. Moving with that energy, not staying stagnant in grief, but just moving it, just being. And that can expand, because emotions are just another experience that we have of being the human. We came here to do that, and it's okay. If we have to break open, allow that. And sometimes that's just what we need. And for me today, going into that surrendering just expanded the awareness much, much more. And the light is pouring in. I feel everyone drawing close. And the guides, along with my husband and many of my loved ones. I have a son that's in spirit as well, and he's here. And so they encouraged me to do an oracle that has to do with all that is in spirit, including the messages from our loved ones today. So first, I would like to say thank you to Source for allowing me to be a medium of light, and all in spirit, in the spirit realms, and the many worlds within worlds. I thank you. And I ask that you help me today to bring a message for the highest good. I'm grateful. And I'm just going to shuffle 3 times. The first one embodies Source. The second one embodies Spirit. And the third one, embodies soul. What's interesting about this, again, I know this is a little different than most people do oracle readings, is that originally it was intended that I was going to just put the camera on and channel and bring through a message without any of the oracle cards today. But Spirit understands that I'm not exactly in that space just yet. I'm working through that. And so the oracle cards give me some kind of a basis of focus, energy, so I can expand. And there's no right and wrong in how we all do this. We can be taught. There's amazing mentors, and I've had many blessings to have taken classes and done seminars with some of the most incredibly immaculate souls here, and I have learned so very much. But what is needed is to apply that to our own awareness and how we work with spirit. There is no right or wrong with this. It just is. So I'm just gonna, whoops. Okay, so one dropped out, and this one is Goddess of Dreams, Vision, Intuition, Receptivity. Number 25. And as I open up, the first thing that I'm hearing is that sometimes we dream. And when we use this term dream, we sometimes asphyxiate on things like a goal, that I have a dream of losing weight. I have a dream of starting my own business. I have a dream of the perfect relationship for me, a special home, a place to live. We have so many dreams. And what they're saying is that, is this really what it is that we're seeking here? That sometimes stepping into our dreams, is it really about those experiences? What is at the base of a dream? Because when we step into the dream world, we're stepping into a place of surrender, that our conscious mind is not controlling anymore. And we understand as well that we leave this physical body and our soul goes back into its fullness. We explore the astral realms. We go home on the other side. We go to many different dimensions. We travel because the physical body needs to rest. But all that isn't of the physical does not. It never does. But what are we dreaming? Is it really about that place we live? Is it really about the perfect love for us? Is it really about starting that career? As we go fuller into expanded awareness and open up the consciousness, we're recognizing that everything, all of these dreams, like in the dream world, is surrendering to this one space. And that is love. We've heard many, they're saying speak of, that there is two experiences at the core of all of this here: fear or love. And so what is it that we're seeking? In our dreams, that we are dreaming of living in the mountains in a cabin. alone? Is there someone with us? Yes, they're saying. This is a theme that's been coming up quite a bit. How we have to love ourselves before we can share our dreams. And it's just remembering. They're saying that there is a remembering there at the core of what we are. That there has been many walking this earth that have had a beautiful remembering because they've been brought back home and expanded awareness into the light. They remember that love. They know the love. It is not separated. And then they come back. And they're sent back here to express this to others, to lift others, to encourage others on the journey. So when they're remembering their dream, it's not the expression of the dream. That's what living in the cabin is. That's what creating our own business is. That's what a kiss goodnight is. And then there's the actual dream of life, the dream of creation. That is the remembering of what we are. And it doesn't matter. We've heard the stories of many people finding those dreams come true, and they're sitting up in the log cabin and they're numb. Maybe they're escaping something. So they thought if they fulfilled a dream, that everything else would meet them there. Or maybe they've created a business and it's a little more overwhelming than they expected. And it's lonely. And even though everything is working the way they planned it, there's still that something. We realize we're still seeking. Why are we seeking then, we ask? It's because the dream is just a remembering. Not everyone is brought back home to have a near-death experience. So we just have to expand our consciousness into that remembering. And if we can do that, once we get into that space, we reconnect with that. Everything becomes a fulfilling dream. It's not just about the specific ones. Every expression feels like that. We're in a different vibration, a different frequency. It's not about the intention then. It just is. Because we're in our fullness of love. And that can be something we experience here. We don't have to wait until we're in full spirit. We just have to integrate that through the higher self. And so they're saying intuition and receptivity. And in this space, when we're in expanded awareness, they're reminding us of the beautiful light, the Christ self, the consciousness, the source. That receptivity and intuition sometimes get mistaken because we infuse this with intention. And if we're so focused on intention, we're not being receptive. There's a teaching that they're reminding me of, that when we're sitting and we're stating an intention, we're praying, we're asking, we're sending the energy out into the universe. But just as important is the receptivity. And that doesn't mean meditation. That means surrendering. Surrendering how, where, when, and who. Because if we go to the core, the very source, that is up to source, how this works. We have to trust enough. Yes, we can pray to angels, but perhaps the angels are not going to be the one that source ignites to answer. The receptivity is so important, to be in a space of surrender and not try to control that we have this specific intention. It's about the dream. As they stated before, we can have the log cabin. We can achieve the dream. But without that state of surrendering, the dream might not be what we thought it would be. Then it's on to the next thing, or the next person, or the next experience, the next high. Always chasing something. The most profound and beautiful intuition and receptivity is always found in the surrendering. The intuition will tell us, once we've surrendered, if this is what's meant for us. They have to work hand in hand. Because if we're not surrendering and we're trying to use our intuition, we're directing the intention. And it can be jaded, because then we've got all these filters and we've got expectation. And then we've got broken dreams. We've got broken hearts. We can then create broken lives. So something I'm learning today, and I want to share with everybody, is a reminding that Spirit is bringing through today very strongly, is that we do have a destiny. But who how, when, all of these things, that's the free will. That's the magic of being here. The people that are in our lives, they're coming through with another message. This is going to be a long video. They're saying that this isn't a manifest. We can't manifest the people in our lives. We created the interactions before we got here, whether it's our soulmate, our children, we chose our parents. It could be the person at the cash register at the supermarket. That was all chosen before we came here. But how we interact with these people is our free will. The family is the knowing of this. We chose our parents. Now, maybe we may not have the best relationship with our parents. That's a choice. That's the free will. And this is something that Spirit is very adamant about, because we try to manifest things into our life. We try to, there was yesterday a big teaching I was reminded of with manifesting love in our life. And that we have this idea that people will meet us on our frequency. And that's not always how this works. If we're vibrating at a very high frequency, we can sometimes attract those at a very low frequency. It isn't like attract likes all the time. It's about the soul contracts and the lessons. Think of Source. How beautifully immaculate Source of the love of all creation is. None of us here are at that frequency yet. We have God within us. We are an expression of Source. But think of all of us that are here that are not in awareness yet, not in expanded awareness. Are we going to say that Source loves them any less? It's impossible. It just is. So this is a reminder that though we may think we're vibrating at this immaculate frequency and we're attracting this romantic love into our life, sometimes we're going to attract a train wreck. And that's up to us. Will we be able to express love to this person on this journey that's not in the same frequency? What are we learning from this? What can we offer them? And that is the surrendering. That's where the intuition kicks in. That's the receptivity. It's not trying to direct that and saying, oh, this person isn't on my frequency. No, it's a choice. But just know that if that person came into your life, they were meant to, whether we like to understand that or not. Nothing is coincidence here. There was something that was meant to be exchanged in it, even if it's for just 2 minutes. It could be that you were parking your car and you said good morning to someone standing next to you. But what you do with that, you may decide to stand there and talk to this person for 2 hours about the weather. And we're opening up to that exchange. Or you may continue on with your day and say good morning and keep going. So we're always weaving and interweaving with these energies. It's not always like attracts like. Think about the times that we say, well, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. We've set this intention. We've done the work. We're in a good space. Not all of us that are having these interactions with lower frequencies are not having self-love or not vibrating high enough. I love myself dearly. I love myself enough to be receptive that when Spirit stepped in today and expanded my awareness and asked that I do this, that I knew it was for my highest good, that not only was I sharing something, but I was going to learn something today. And that's beautiful. That's the opportunity I don't want to miss. That's self-love, knowing that we're worth that. And I've had many that step into my awareness, or I've interacted with, that I understand that are not on that frequency level. Not consciously, but they're still from Source. We're all brothers and sisters. So that law of attraction, that idea that we have, that if we send out this high frequency, we're only going to attract that? No. But our free will does allow us, whether we continue on with these interactions. But what Spirit is asking is that we open up to the receptivity and recognize that, yes, self-love is stepping away. If we've had an interaction with someone who is very deep within substance abuse and they're not ready to heal that, we cannot forego our self-love and our light to try to keep helping someone. We don't want to loop. Of course not. We can love them from afar and wish them well. And so that is where the free will is utilized. And it just expands your light more when you're able to step into that space. But let's ask ourselves, when we're encountering these things, am I receptive enough to step into the space without controlling every aspect? There's something extraordinary that happens when we do this. We may have an idea of what our soulmate is going to be. And then we say, you know what? Source knows. We planned this before we came. I'm just going to be me, and there'll be a plethora of experiences that I can choose from. All the people that come into my life are the possibilities. There's endless possibilities on many levels of existence here that we don't see. So many different outcomes that are acting out in different frequencies, because we're multifaceted. We're not just experiencing here. And I know that's a heavy thing to kind of grab a concept of. So like in our dreams, where we're surrendering, having bizarre dreams, maybe we're thinking about we're back in high school at 50 years old, and suddenly we're in math class and there's a duck sitting next to us. We know it's a dream, we surrender to it, we may have a good laugh, wake up and try to figure it all out, all the symbolism. It's fun. But we can do that as we're going through our day. Expand the possibilities, expand the energy. When we're in our stillness and we've come through that and we've surrendered and we're receptive, Source brings the most incredible experiences into our lives. We're not having to look at anything as negative or positive. Always approaching it, what can I experience from this? Know without a doubt how immaculate that is. That, okay, maybe the car stalled out on the highway. We don't know what the adventure is. And I understand when we're on our way to work, we don't want to hear this, where we want the car to start. We don't have the money to pay for the bill of getting the engine fixed and all these idiosyncrasies that go with it. I get it. I've been in the stuck car recently. But it's very easy to shift into that expanded awareness and say, well, there's something about this. There's no coincidence. And sure enough, once we surrender to that, we go through it, maybe not right in that moment, maybe a little retrospect, we go back and we say, oh, well, had I not stalled in the car, maybe this wouldn't have occurred and that wouldn't have occurred. It becomes magical. It becomes adventurous. We begin to really see all the things that are occurring in divine timing, in the eternal now. And so, to step into the goddess or God energy is aligning with all of these things, our vision, our intuition, and our receptivity. And our vision, not necessarily intention, our vision. When we are expanded into our fullness and we're in that beautiful resonance, that high frequency resonance, there is a clarity, and it's not about manifesting, and it's not about setting an intention. It becomes vision because we see this in clarity. Then the intuition is, when you're in that space, because the receptivity, it just flows. Everything around us starts to have a message. It starts to resonate with us. Because as we raise our frequency, there isn't anything around us that isn't in our frequency. And that's the magic. We're not attracting anything. We're not attracting and manifesting people. We're recognizing. So, Spirit's pulling back the energy. I hope this message finds you well. They definitely lifted my spirits by doing this. Being of service is always a gift and a blessing, and it does. Stepping into that fullness and listening, it changes everything for the day. All my love. Thank you, everyone, for letting me share this with you.